Well, it certainly is one of the coolest looking VR headsets I've ever owned. The Big Screen Beyond 2. Let's talk about it. Welcome everyone to Get Your Game On, the channel dedicated to immersive gaming experiences. And today we've got a good one. We have here the Big Screen Beyond 2, and today I'm going to share my thoughts and feelings about this brand new headset. I've been eagerly anticipating its arrival, and I've been using it for the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to share with you my thoughts, feelings, and kind of a review of what I think of the Big Screen Beyond 2. Now, this headset was not given to me. It was purchased just like any of you would purchase it. I don't believe they knew I was a YouTuber, so it wasn't hand selected by anybody. So what I'm experiencing should be roughly what you would experience as a customer of Big Screen Beyond. So getting that out of the way, the simple fact that we're talking about this headset and comparing it to the likes of like a Pimax Crystal Light or any of these mainstream full-scale headsets is a testament in itself to the Big Screen Beyond team and their engineering prowess in developing this unit. The fact that we're not sitting here saying, you know, for its size, it does this well. No, we're just talking about how good this headset is regardless of the size. So tip of the cap to all the folks at Big Screen Beyond and just the amazing engineering that went into this thing. I mean, it's really hard to tell how small it is on the screen, but this thing is amazingly compact and obviously looks cool. So let's start off with the unboxing so you can see how this journey all started. Well, here we have them. The Big Screen Beyond 2 Eye Tracking Edition and accessories. Now, in most cases, you would expect the headset to be in this larger box and the accessories to be in the smaller. But since we're dealing with the Big Screen Beyond, interestingly enough, this is the audio strap. So the small box is actually the headset itself. You can see Big Screen Beyond E. So there we go. So we're going to start off. We're going to do another unboxing here. We're going to start off with the audio strap and build to the big conclusion. So again, we have the trusty box cutter and safety, only open as far as you need to. Always cut away from yourself, never towards yourself. Safety first, right? So let's see what we got here. So, all right, so here we go, and we will open that up, close that up, and let's see what this audio strap entails. Oh, okay, so this is an overbox. So what we may do is do both overboxes first. I think that's the easiest I've ever had time of doing that. Yes, so here you go. Audio strap, here's the box. You can see in all its glory. That's the bottom of it, and then your 2 screens. So purple is good. All right, well, let's go ahead and do all of get the outer boxes out on all of these. This should be the headset itself. So let's see what we got here. I ordered this back in March. I basically ordered it as soon as it was available to be ordered. So I'm happy to have it here. All right, and yes, there we go. There's another overbox, so let's go ahead and get the headset out of this. And another easy removal. That's a nice change of pace. So there's the bottom of it. And there we are. Big screen. And I think it's a little different. There it is, Beyond 2. I was going to say it should be a little different from the Beyond 1. And there you go. So that is that. So I know everybody wants to see the headset, so we're going to start with the audio strap. I know, I'm evil. All right. So this should just be, the boxes are really nice material. Oh yeah, open nicely. Wow, there you go. And it's got some adapter clips if you need to extend it. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's got a really nice, almost a mannequin head style stand that it comes in. Very well packaged. If this is an indication of the quality of the big screen, I'm going to be happy. So let's see what we got in the other box. Very excited about this. All right, the seal has been broken. All right, here we go. You'll see it before I will. Voila! Wow, look at that. Gosh, that is crazy small. I love, so I'm an Amiga computer guy. The Commodore Amiga was a computer I absolutely adored back in the 80s. And they had the signatures of the developers inside the casing that was basically molded into the plastic of the case. This kind of throws me back to that. So this is your Big Screen Beyond 2, custom made for you in Los Angeles, California. This card has been signed by each person involved in the building of the headset. From all of us on the Big Screen team, thank you for all your support. If you have any questions, email me at, and got the email. So, yep, and it's Darshan. Yeah, Darshan is the CEO. So, all right, let's see here. Here is the lovely, I really don't like 3D printing, but there's my superhero mask that I'll be wearing, apparently. It feels very rubbery. That is not going to be very breathable, but we're going to try it. Likely I will also be getting the Halo strap as well, but I did not want to wait for that to come out. And let's hold off. So the other thing you get is the strap, which we won't be using. So let's go ahead and we'll just kind of get everything out here. And I believe this is the top strap that goes with this. And it looks like we have our cable clip. We have a cable clip and the high-tech IP adjustment tool. All right, let's pull it out. Jeez. You know, you see this on videos and it doesn't give at least me the idea of how small. This is beyond light and beyond small. I mean, holy cow. The fact they've got all that tech in this little device here, I mean, again, I happen to have the Quest 3 right here, so we'll just kind of, as a comparison, you know, there you go. So, yeah. And let's see what else we got. The unboxing wouldn't be complete if we don't unbox everything. Got some nice foam, and it looks like, oh, so I've got this is my prescription lenses. So my lenses that will go in there, and then we have, this is the breakout box. There you go. So it's funny, the headset itself is the smallest, one of the smaller things on here. And we have a setup guide. Put that there. The requisite cleaning cloth, got to have those. The most critical item of any VR headset is the cleaning cloth. It must be the most critical because every one of them comes with it. So there you go. And then lastly, we have our cable, and it looks like, so it looks like they're both C, but obviously this one has a different casing than this one. So, which is going to match up with that port right there. So it's keyed so you can't plug them in ideally to the wrong spot. So there you go. That's it. That's it for the box. So we'll go ahead and put some of this back and move it over. Very cool. Very cool packaging. I always appreciate when the effort goes into not only the product but the packaging as well. It's just cardboard. We'll get that out of here. And let's go ahead and get the big screen. So this is what you have to look forward to if you are getting yourself a big screen, and it should go together fairly well. Obviously, those are small lenses. You can see right here the eye tracking, and then this should just magically, yep, magnetically go on there. So there you go. Ta-da! All right, so now that you've seen the unboxing, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the specs of this headset. I'm going to put the specs up right here. You can see all the details. Now, this version is an eye tracking version. They also have a base model that does not have the eye tracking, so whichever one you want is up to you. This is also a PC VR only headset. It doesn't have any MR capability or any cameras that look out. So you're talking about PC VR here. In fact, it is Steam VR. So you actually still need all your Steam VR stuff like base stations or lighthouses and also controllers. Now, if you're going to buy one of these and you don't have those things, you're probably looking at $400 to $500 extra to get those things to make this work. So when you buy the big screen, you're only getting the headset. You're not getting any of the lighthouses or controllers that you also need to make this work for your VR experiences. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about what I love about this headset. I am an OLED snob, and this is the first OLED headset I've got to use since I retired my Vive Pro back 5 years ago. And I've got to say, it was such a joy to do a night flight again in Microsoft Flight Simulator and actually feel like I was flying in darkness. Just those black OLEDs, you can't replicate that with an LCD or even a QLED. There's something just magical about OLED screen technology. And this headset was just a treat to fly in space or in night flights or any of those kinds of environments. So absolutely loved the OLED. The other thing I loved were the lenses themselves had an amazing sweet spot. It was edge-to-edge clarity on the visuals. You could see all the way to the sides, and it looked fantastic. There was no distortion. I didn't see any chromatic aberration. The field of view was good. I don't measure the field of view because the field of view is going to be different for every face shape depending on your eye placement and how your face looks. But it basically didn't feel crowded. It didn't feel smaller than any other headset. It didn't feel super large, like way bigger than any other headset, but it was perfect. It had a nice oval shape to it. And again, with the OLED blacks, when it was dark, you didn't see that contrast of the backlit screens and then the black of the case. It was just pitch black. And so love that. The other thing that I really liked was this is about as close to plug and play as you can get. Because it's a Steam VR headset, you basically plug it in if you have Steam VR running, and it asks you, do you want me to download the driver? You say yes, and you are up and running. It doesn't get much easier than this. For those of you that are coming from a Index from way back when, it's basically the same thing. You plug it in and it just goes. So the ease of setting this up was just amazing, and it just always works. Every time I turn it on, the headset's waiting to be used. So I didn't have problems with, you know, this crashing and this not starting up or this not interfacing well with that. This thing just worked, and it was rock solid. One last thing that I really loved was this cable. Along with the headset, this is a very light cable. It's flexible, it's fiber optic, not thick, not heavy, and really goes well with the whole idea behind the Big Screen Beyond 2 being so lightweight. So those are all the things that I absolutely love about it. Let's talk about some of the other things you need to know about this. So the binocular overlap in it is not good, but that doesn't really bother me. I don't really care about binocular overlap. There's generally a trade-off. If you want a large binocular overlap, you have a smaller field of view. I'd rather have the wider field of view, which this has. So that smaller binocular overlap really doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you, you just need to be aware of it. So one other thing you need to know about is the screen resolution and the refresh rate. So these screens are 75 Hertz at 2560 by 2560 per eye. and that is a little lower resolution than what you're seeing on all the modern headsets. But the reason for that is actually because Big Screen was designing this to actually work with today's technology and specifically today's graphics cards. And I personally think they actually were smart about that, because running it through Steam, I have a 4090, this thing runs incredibly well. And so with that screen resolution is a little low, yes. If you're looking for screen door effect and you really get picky, you can see it if you want to. It's a better resolution than the Quest 3, but not as good a resolution as, say, the Pimax Crystal Light. So it's somewhere in between, but it didn't bother me at all. The resolution, albeit a little lower, I could still read my gauges in my F18. I could see everything I needed to see, so it really didn't bother me. And then I was really worried about the 75 hertz, but it was not an issue either. I did some dogfighting, I did a lot of flying, I did a lot of fast action things, and that 75 hertz kept up just fine. It looked fantastic. Now, for the record, you can drive it to 90 hertz, but then you're basically talking about oversampling, and I don't like oversampling, so I just ran it at 75 hertz, and it looked fantastic. So the other things about the screens, they do have a warm tone to them. So when you first see the screens, you're going to see more of that, you know, orangish tint versus a cool blue tint. So it definitely leans towards the warmer side of things on the screens. They also are dimmer. So anytime you have pancake lenses, which this has, you are going to have dimmer screens, but these are definitely a dimmer screen to see. So one of the things that you can do is overdrive it. And so what I found is by overdriving it to about 120%, that actually brought back some of the brightness I was missing. It was still fine at 100, but that just gave me that little boost. The only problem with that is then you get into a situation where now you get fan noise. So anytime you go over 100% on the screen brightness, the fans automatically kick up to 100%, and that gives you a really loud, high-pitched whine from the fan. So if you're susceptible or sensitive to that noise, you will notice that if you overdrive it. If you don't overdrive it, you don't hear the fan at all. But if you are going to overdrive it, you will notice it. Now, in practice, I didn't notice it when I was in a game because I had enough audio coming through the headset that it wasn't a problem. But be aware that if you are going to overdrive it, you are going to hear some fan noise. The speakers themselves, talking about hearing and listening to the game audio, they're good. They basically are not designed to be off ear. They are designed to rest on your ear. They remind me of back in the 80s, we had those really cheap Walkman headphones that had like the orange foam on them. So I keep having flashbacks every time I use this. Let's talk about the head strap. It actually does look a little cheap and flimsy, but it's not. It's a good head strap, and the reason I think that it is built this way is to keep it light, because you don't want a 100-gram headset and then have a 300-gram audio strap that hooks to it. So I think there's a reason for this to feel or look like it's so flimsy. It's not really flimsy, but it is designed to be small and light. It hasn't given me any problems. The audio in it is good. I kind of wish the audio would be a little louder, but if you really want an on-headset audio solution like I prefer, this is a good option for you, and it is comfortable. You can adjust it all that you need, and it works really well. You just have to be careful. I noticed when I put it on, I have to basically kind of pull these out a little bit as I slide on my head. Otherwise, they'll catch my ears or go under my ears or do weird stuff. Again, you certainly can just go with the base strap and use your own audio solution if you don't mind having those heavy earphones on you. These are light enough that they don't get hot. Your ears don't get hot or anything like that, even though they're resting on it. So I'm good with the audio strap. I don't have any problem with this audio strap. One of the other really good things about this headset is the microphone. Now, what I did to test the microphone was I just talked to my friends in Discord. They've been listening to me in every headset from the Crystal Light to even my Corsair Virtuoso headset to, basically the Quest 3. So they have a good feel for what the audio sounds like in comparison to those other headsets. And they thought that this was the best sounding microphone they've heard on any of the headsets that I've talked to them through. In fact, one of my Patreons couldn't believe I was actually talking to them through the VR headset. They were sure that I was either on my Corsair or some higher end until I explained, no, I am talking to you right now through the Big Screen Beyond microphone, and they were so impressed with it. So A+ on the microphone, Big Screen Beyond, you did a great job on that, so good job. So let's talk about a few of the other things that I really don't like about the Big Screen Beyond 2, and one of them is this facial gasket. This thing is awful. Basically, it's made of rubber, it's 3D printed, and it's built to match your face, but this thing gets miserable after about 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't breathe at all, and because the headset itself is so compact, it does get warm, and all that heat is trapped. So this thing you feel like you're sweating, you feel like you're stuck to this mask, and I absolutely hated this facial interface. The good news is, Big Screen Beyond is developing a halo strap that actually will get rid of this, and it'll have a nice light blocker. So I think that will be the answer for any of you folks out there. But I would not recommend getting this at all. I absolutely found this facial gasket miserable, and I hated it. So that leaves us to the last big thing that I really, really was disappointed by, and that might be the deal breaker for me on the Big Screen Beyond 2. For those of you that have watched the channel, you know I hate glare. That is probably the biggest thing I hate in virtual reality. If you go back and watch my first ever video that I ever did on the channel, it was covering the Vive Pro 2, and that headset went back because of the glare problem. Now I want to clarify what I'm talking about when I say glare. Back in the old days when we had Fresnel lenses, you would get a white light or some real shiny spot, and you would almost see a light streaming from it. Those are God rays, or what I refer to as God rays. So it's basically when you have a point of light and you have almost this beam coming from it that emanates from that and comes out. I'm not talking about that when I say glare. To me, glare is more of just kind of a light that's not from a specific light, it just happens to be on the lens. And the reason we have glare is because we're using pancake lenses. You can't get away from glare completely anytime you use a pancake lens. That's one of the reasons I'm such a fan of aspheric lenses, because I don't like glare. And this thing has it. Now, to be fair, I have never used a Big Screen Beyond 1, and it's my understanding that the glare is greatly reduced from the Big Screen Beyond 1. That being said, just because the glare is reduced on the Big Screen Beyond 2 does not mean that it's good. It just means it's less. So I tried really, really hard to get past looking at the glare in the lens. And if you're in a daylight scene or you're basically looking at a normal scene, it's not bad. You may catch it a little bit. It seems to be about the lower third of the screen. But anytime you're doing high contrast scenes like night flying, which I love, I saw it, and you really couldn't get away from it. In Elite, I saw it a little bit. In Star Wars Squadrons, I saw it a little bit. And where I really saw it was anytime I went to the screen, the Steam menu, the VR menu, and I'd pop up the menu itself, and I would just be inundated with the glare from that menu coming off the black background. And it actually made me angry every time I saw it, because you had this beautiful black OLED and you're ruining it with these reflections. So again, I know you're always going to have some reflections with pancake lenses because of the design, but this one is extremely bad. And if you're sensitive to glare like I am, the Big Screen Beyond 2 is probably one that you don't want to get. So let's assume that glare doesn't bother you as much as it bothers me, and you're still very interested in the Big Screen Beyond 2. What would I recommend you look at doing? Well, first and foremost, I definitely would recommend against getting the facial gasket. I don't think you need that. I think the halo strap is a much better option. If you need corrective lenses like I have, one thing I can tell you you should look at getting are these corrective lenses from Big Screen. I don't know if you can see or not. These things are like contact lenses for a VR headset. They are stupid small and amazing. So they're magnetically attached, and they work very well. So I definitely recommend the corrective lenses that Big Screen provides. So let's talk about eye tracking. Should you get that? In my opinion, probably not. So certainly if you're doing social VR and you want the eye tracking to track your eye movement on your avatar, by all means, you certainly would want it for that because that will work. But if you're looking at getting it for the reason I did, for dynamic foveated rendering in the future, I don't think you need it. With the lower resolution of the screen and also the lower refresh rate, this thing will perform really good without dynamic foveated rendering. I'd say if you had a 3090 video card or better, I don't think you'll need it. Now, if you have a slower, older video card, you could potentially look at getting it to be able to use dynamic foveated rendering. But keep in mind, dynamic foveated rendering hasn't been released yet and they're still developing it. So there are no guarantees. So you're sort of gambling whether that's going to become a thing or not. I think it will, but again, it's not out yet. So what I would do is I would buy the base model, I would buy the audio head strap if you want to have the on-headset audio, otherwise just use your own audio solution, and then I would buy the halo mount. And I think the combination of those things will make this VR headset work perfectly for you. So what I want to close with is talking a little bit about Big Screen itself as the company that creates the Big Screen Beyond 2. And some of the things that I noticed about the company that really impressed me during these months that I've been following the development of this headset. One of the first things, if you haven't been following development of the Big Screen Beyond 2, that they did was when they were almost ready to go to production, they noticed that there was a problem with the circuit boards in the headsets. And instead of basically trying to go ahead and ship those circuit boards in the first revision and fixing the problem later, they went ahead and scrapped all 5,000 of those circuit boards and started over, so every Big Screen Beyond 2 that came out had the latest, greatest circuit board design. That was pretty impressive. In addition to that, they basically made all the old Big Screen Beyond 1 equipment compatible. For example, the face mask. This is a face mask that worked on the Big Screen Beyond 1 and it will work on the Big Screen Beyond 2. So if you're a Big Screen Beyond 1 owner, you don't have to rebuy a face mask. Same with the audio strap. They very easily, because this is a Big Screen Beyond 2, could have designed a different audio strap so that all the people that are buying the new unit would have to buy the new audio strap. Instead, they made it backwards compatible. So they're not trying to nickel and dime their customer base, they're trying to give them a good value for their money. The last thing that really impressed me was a few months prior to them being able to announce the Big Screen Beyond 2's release, they took any orders for the Big Screen Beyond 1 that were coming in and basically held them back. Did not ship them a Big Screen Beyond 1 and instead automatically upgraded them to a Big Screen Beyond 2. And then once they were producing them, those customers were the first ones to receive these brand new Big Screen Beyond 2 units. When you have that kind of care and consideration for your customer base, I think you deserve the support of us VR enthusiasts. And a corporate culture like that definitely should be rewarded in this day and age. So that being said, that's all I have for you. I hope you found this review of the Big Screen Beyond 2 helpful and informative. If you did, we have a super thanks down below. Any donations to the channel obviously help us continue to make content like this. And go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't done that. It's free, and that way you'll be well aware of any future reviews that we do with several of the new upcoming VR headsets. So thank you all for watching very much, and until next time, remember to get your game on.